All right, Algebra 1. Welcome back, guys. We are in section 8 today, officially ending chapter 10. All right, so this is the last section of chapter 10. This section is all about the discriminant, okay? And the discriminant is actually something that you have already learned about unknowingly, all right? So here's what I mean by that. Unknowingly, we're going to zoom in. This should look a little familiar, all right? If it doesn't, well, unfortunate, the memory needs to be jogged a little bit here. This b squared minus 4ac, this is what's underneath the square root in the quadratic formula, all right? So this specific part of the quadratic formula gets its own title. It is the discriminant. Okay, now why do we need to highlight, why do we need to focus on this one piece of the quadratic formula? And the reason why is because this one piece can tell us if a graph has two solutions, one solution, or no solution. All right, I think you're going to like this section a lot better than the quadratic formula section. For starters, you're not having to do all of that work. You are only focusing on the discriminant. All right, let's zoom in. And all the equations, just like they looked, are still trinomials. They look the same, but you are only doing this portion right here, the discriminant, b squared minus 4ac. That's all you're calculating. And then what you are looking at is what is your answer in terms of positive, negative, or zero. You don't even really have to know the exact answer. You just need to know, is it going to be a positive, equal to zero, or a negative? So in the case of it being equal to zero, yes, you have to get the exact precise, it is zero. Once you know that your answer is going to be a positive when you work out the discriminant, you are telling me that this equation will have two solutions. If it is equal to zero, I mean precise equal to zero, then it only has one solution. If the discriminant will equal a negative number, it will have no solution. And this, if you look further into it, is what it means to cross the x-axis. All right, you guys remember in prior videos, if they say find the solution, if they say find the roots, or if they say find the x-axis, all of that right there, those three things are all the same thing. They're asking for the same thing, just in a different way. All right, so two solutions means it crosses the x-axis twice. One solution means it only touches the x-axis once. And of course, no solution, it never crosses the x-axis at all. Okay, so let's take a look at just a few examples easily worked out for you. This is the trinomial given. This is them setting it up in the discriminant. B squared minus 4. There's A, there's C. They work it out, they get a negative answer, meaning no solution. Okay, you'll also notice I color coordinated both sides here. So all of the highlights in yellow go with the highlights in yellow over here, and you can see how the colors match up. So that might be helpful to you guys if you're looking at both charts at the same time. That could be a little bit helpful to guide you to it. All right. One thing to point out on this one right here, x squared minus 7, you'll notice there's no b value. So if there's no b value, that means b is 0. All right, that's important to notice that if there's no b, it's 0. If there's no c, it's 0. But you should remember a is not equal to 0. If you don't see anything in front, like clearly there's a 2 there, clearly there's a 4 there, but right here it doesn't look like there's anything there, there is a 1. Don't forget that. That's the 1 right there. Okay? All right, there we go. Let's zoom out. And just this note right here, it's an easy way to figure out if it has 2, 1, or no solutions to a quadratic formula. All right, let's do 4 example problems, and all we're working out here is just the discriminant, and your final answer is simply stating it has 2 solutions or 1 solution or no solutions. All right, so let's zoom in, and remember the discriminant, b squared minus 4 times a times c. So here's b. b is 4, so that's 4 squared minus, then I'm going to put all of these in parentheses just so you understand that they're all multiplied together before you subtract. So don't forget the order of operations. You take exponents first, then you multiply, then you subtract. Don't forget that order. Exponents, then multiply, then subtract. That is really important to remember. All right, so minus 4 times a times c. All right, so if we are plugging this in, we have 16, and then 4 times 1 is 4, times 3 is 12. So that's going to be minus 12 equals a positive number, which equals 2 solutions. All right, that is what I'm talking about when I mean once you get close enough in this problem, you can easily determine if it's a positive answer, a negative answer, or 0 as your answer. Okay, all right, number 2. Here we go with b squared minus 4 times a times c. All right, so negative 5 squared is going to actually equal a positive 25. Then you have 4 times 2 is 8 times 6 is 48. So that's minus 48. All right, 25 minus 48, that's going to equal a negative, which equals no solution. Okay, there we go. Again, just work the discriminant. Get to the point where you can easily determine positive, negative, or 0. All right, let's do example problem number 3 here. So b squared minus 4 times a times c. All right, 10 squared is 100 minus, and then 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 25, also 100. So 100 minus 100 equals 0, which equals 1 solution. All right, here we go. Not too bad, guys. Not too bad. Remember, quadratic formula in prior sections, much harder than this. So this is a good section to end with. A lot easier. All right, one thing to pay attention to here, that negative sign, don't forget to include that in your a value. So that means a is actually negative 1. All right, so we have b squared minus 4. A is negative 1. Also pay attention here, you got a negative 4 for your c value. So negative 4 right there. Okay, 2 squared is 4. This, think of it as a negative 4 times a negative 1. All right, so this right here will equal a positive 4. But then when you are multiplying this positive 4 by that negative 4, it's going to go back to a negative. All right, so creating negative 16. And 4 minus 16, this is going to equal a negative, which is going to equal a no solution. Okay. All right, double check. We had 3 negatives in there, positive and a negative. All right, so that one checks out. Okay, there we go, guys. Let's zoom out. And this is all 4 example problems right there for you. Remember, this section was all about the discriminant, and the discriminant is right there for you. Okay, bring your questions to class. We'll do some more example problems on the board. See you guys in the next one.